You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Nostalgia is one of the strongest forces in the human psyche and is responsible for the continued existence of some of our favorite fandoms. From the minds behind the Dole Up in Dreams podcast and Isolation Cast Voices from Quarantine, Saturday Morning Confidential takes you on a deep dive into the properties that helped influence the artists and creators of today. So whether you are a Goonie, a Gem Girl, a Digi-Destined, or you just want to return to Oz, new episodes release on Fridays bi-weekly starting January 1st of 2021, and join us on the Wednesdays after the main show for the Serial Killer Radio Hour, where we sit down with the people responsible for the toys, shows, and fandoms that you love. Now you can find Saturday Morning Confidential at certainpov.com/SMCpod or on your favorite podcast platforms. So don't forget to tune in for another deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential.
Now that we're all ready, let's take that journey into mystery as we go through the cosmos to talk about Spider-Man 2 from 2004. I mean,
yay!
Are you excited?
I'm good with the first two Sam Raimi films. The third one I'm not super looking forward to as a movie, but I always like having Malfoy on the show, so I guess that's the silver lining to that. But I'm excited about this one.
So this week is just going to be us, gushing about the possibilities and the successes of the genre. And then next week, or the next time that I'm on, when we talk about the third one, it'll be the exact opposite. So you can, contrast of what it's like to watch a good movie with us versus watching a terrible movie with us.
That's fair.
I mean, if you've been in the space car for any amount of time, because I assume it's a space car that we're traveling on this journey into mystery in.
Of course.
If you were here for the original Doctor Strange, or the very first Spider-Man that kicked us off for season 2, you've heard us talk about bad movies. And it's lots of talking about everything else because it gave us nothing to talk about. But this movie, I feel like there's plenty to talk about in this movie.
Oh, of course.
So we are going to talk about Spider-Man 2, but first we're going to get through some MCU news because there's a little bit of that.
MCU news.
And then we're going to talk about the finale episode of Loki.
What?
I mean, did the two of you at least enjoy it?
Oh, it was great.
Enjoy it. Bury the lead. What? Of course I enjoyed it.
Then we will get into Spider-Man 2. So, first off, I wanted to say Jamila?
Jamila
Janelle. I know her from The Good Place. Confirmed on her TikTok. I'm not a TikTok person, so others that are on TikTok, you have to tell me if this is a good TikTok video. But she confirmed that she is indeed cast in the She-Hulk TV series. I believe she is cast as the villain. Titania, thank you. And the way she confirmed it was by showing the fact that she's training to fight. What did you think of the moves?
It was... I was honestly impressed.
I am looking it up at the moment because I saw that she was confirmed and I looked it up on IMDb, but I did not see her fighting. So.
Oh yeah. She put out a video and I saw it on Twitter. I didn't see it on TikTok, but it was a TikTok video of her training with the stunt coordinators on how to fight and do stage fighting. So, I mean, the moves looked great, and she moved incredibly. So I can't wait, and I hope she gets to do some of the humor that I mean, I know her best for from The Good Place. Did either one of you watch The Good Place?
Mm-hmm. I have not.
Well, Malfoy, go watch The Good Place because I really enjoyed it.
I've heard so many good things about it. I mean, I might as well.
I mean, I feel like I'm not in a place where I could recommend things to Malfoy because I have a list of movies that Malfoy gave me at one point, and he's like, "So you're gonna watch all these at some point?" And I'm like, "Sure, bud." And I still haven't watched most of them. So,
No, they have not.
nope. Have I seen Perks of Being a Wallflower? I saw the end.
What does that even mean?
That it was being watched around me, and I came in for the ending. So, at your own pace, I feel like I can't recommend things to you until I get further into the list that you would provide. I'm still going to recommend things because whatever, but
No,
you know.
I have my own list of shame of stuff that I haven't gotten to. It's just another sitcom though, so I'm just like,
It's not though. It's not just another sitcom. Like, it's 5 seasons of like pure gold.
It's really good.
It's really
5
good.
seasons is manageable though. But is it still like sitcom episodes? Is it still like 20 episodes a season?
No, it's like
No.
I think it's like 13. It's
Yeah.
it's short seasons.
And it's like manageable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I might bump it up the list then, because that seems better than, The Office, which is 8 seasons or whatever at 20 something episodes.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
that show, just the for how casual they are about some of the stuff they talk about, it's just like, I love this. This is great.
So, well, I need to know what are some of the other things that are on this list that was given to Ian.
Oh God.
Because I mean, I feel like
Midnight in Paris was on there, but I've now seen that multiple times because it's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
What
else is on the list?
Whiplash was on there, and then we watched it together.
Correct.
Uh,
Have you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane yet?
no, I have not. That's on the list. I know that.
I'm just looking up at my movies right now and just going.
10 Cloverfield Lane is a good movie, but and of the movies that have been suggested so far on this list, that's the only one that
This is circa like 2014, 2015. I have not added to this list.
Okay.
Correct, because the list would just be impossibly long, and I would give up.
See, I feel like Malfoy and I need to be on a podcast together because we have apparently different taste in movies.
My movie taste is different now than it was when I had those lists, though I still enjoy every movie that was mentioned. They're not like super high up in my echelon of recommends. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to watch those. You can skip them.
So I would like
Don't backpedal.
to put a caveat because Ricky so kindly corrected me in chat. Ricky forced me to watch Midnight in Paris.
But now you've
And
watched it several times.
That's when I it's a great movie. It's fantastic. I love it. But I have such a hard time watching new movies. Like movies I haven't seen before. Because I have a hard time sitting down to watch most things if I haven't seen it before, because it's like, is this even going to be a worth it investment of my time? Am I going to have fun here, or would I have better used my time somewhere else?
Well,
It's really, I feel really silly for saying that.
when someone suggests it to you, does that make it carry more weight? Like, okay, I'm investing my time because someone else said, hey, this is good.
Depending on who recommends it.
As you can see, my recommendation is held very high.
Your recommendation really is. I'm streaming.
20
I'm trying to make other content.
Well, look at it this way. Ian's probably never going to take any of my suggestions because I made them watch all these terrible non-MCU movies.
Yeah, they bitch about that a lot, actually. Shut up. I'm just kidding. It wasn't
You
that
shit. That was in confidence.
bad. No, they just said those movies were terrible, and I'm sure they were. So you guys talked about
A lot of them were.
That's not a movie.
A lot of them were.
Most of them were trash. The first Incredible Hulk was kind of saving for me for a minute, and then we had 20 of them, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
Okay, getting back to She-Hulk. We also
I was
got.
gonna say that's a good transition.
We also had some new casting news that just dropped today. Josh Segarra is going to be playing a role in the She-Hulk series. They haven't released what it is, the role that he's going to be playing. I don't know if either one of you watched Arrow on CW, because he had a big role in that in the last couple seasons of Prometheus.
I only watched the first season.
Yeah, same. I watched the first little bit of it, and then I was like, I don't like this. And then I went and watched way too much of The Flash.
That's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Yeah, he's done a lot of TV. I know he was in Chicago PD for a few episodes, and then he was on a show called Sirens where he was a paramedic. So he's a good actor. So I'm interested to see what it is that he plays in the TV series.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was gonna say I had to IMDb this guy just to make sure that I knew who you were talking about. I recognize the face.
Okay.
That's about all that I know about this guy.
Yeah, I would say I'm in the same boat. Like, he has a very recognizable face, but I've never seen any of his shows. Definitely his commercials for said shows, but I don't think I've seen anything he's in. But so a question: IMDb has the number of episodes listed for some of the actors and actresses on this show. Do you think that they would just list the whole season so it's not a spoiler that if they're in less episodes, or do you think these are accurate?
I don't think they're accurate. I think
Okay, cool.
certain people are just putting it on there because people that use the website can also make changes to IMDb. They don't necessarily have to be verified. That's the word.
Yeah, because it shows, Tatiana Maslany, obviously, Jamila Jamil, and then Mark Ruffalo, and then some other people, and then they are all, like, everybody has, like, the entire season, so I'm just like, I don't know if I want to know.
Yeah,
They're in this the whole time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mark Ruffalo is definitely not going to be in the whole season.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. I'm like, that's expensive, I would think.
And I don't even know if they know that it's going to be 10 episodes long at this point.
Oh, it says 2022, so, I mean, it's probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know how far along they are.
Yeah.
I just got really excited because the Moon Knight poster is on the She-Hulk IMDb page. And I'm not even excited because I know anything about Moon Knight. I want him to beat people up and demand money. Or drugs. Or both.
I need money for my ketamine.
Yeah, what up, Spider-Man? You got any ketamine? Moon Knight, I think you have a problem, bud.
I mean, it's Oscar Isaac. I'll watch anything he's in. I don't know anything about the character, so should be great.
I really know nothing aside from memes, and I don't know how accurate those are, if at all. They're probably not. If there's a Hero 101 on Moon Knight at any point, let me know. Even if I'll be on the show, I'll just listen to it, whatever. I just need to know that it's happening, so I at least understand what's going on.
You will be there. I will have you on Imagine If for Moon Knight 101.
Nice. Heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Moving over to films in the MCU, we have a director for the Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali. The director made a movie called Mogul Mowgli. I don't believe it is out yet. I think it's just been to Cannes. And his name is Bassam Tariq. So I don't know any of his work to base this off of, but if this is the way that Marvel or Marvel Studios is going to be going with taking smaller indie directors to make all their movies, I'm in for it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea too, especially if they're early in their career, right? It'll be like they haven't, expended some of their maybe creative energy yet on like passion projects maybe or stuff like that, and they can have this fresh perspective to just come in and just like make their first great film with all the support from Marvel. I think it should be good. I'll definitely watch this Mogul Mowgli movie this year. Then I mean, Riz Ahmed's in it, so it can't suck.
It also
be good.
it was also like I forgot what it's Riz Ahmed as a musician that gets diagnosed with something, right?
It just says he's a rapper and he's struck down by an illness that threatens to derail his big break.
Yeah, so which made me think of Riz Ahmed's like one of his latest movies.
Yeah.
Where there was it the Sound of Metal or
Yeah, that's what it is. The Sound of Metal.
yeah, where he's a drummer that gets struck down with deafness. Like, so I was like, that's very similar.
Well, they're literally billed right next to each other on his IMDb credits too. Like he did them one after the other.
But yeah, Riz Ahmed, another great actor. So I'll watch anything he does.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at on it too.
I'm excited about New Blade.
Oh,
Same.
I'm excited about New Blade. I think if they try to capture the absolute lightning in a bottle that was the original Blade movie with like trying to like mimic any of that, I'd be down for it. I know that there's plenty of people that be like, it was just a rehash. Shut up. It was awesome. Give him cool sunglasses, let him never get blood on him for whatever reason, and just say, go forth and kill vampires. I'm in. I'm all the way in. With cheesy one-liners.
And I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I was when Mahershala Ali's name was being thrown around as Blade, I said he'd never do it. I thought he was too serious of an actor to do it. I was just like, nah, he's not gonna do this comic book movie. But then he did Alita Battle Angel, and I was like, okay, maybe he will. Not that he did a bad job in Alita Battle Angel. Like, he did a good job. But I just thought he's too good of an actor, like, to be in these. But that's the thing; these Marvel movies are definitely catching everybody now. Like, they'll grab. I mean, look at Eternals. Eternals is gonna, yeah,
half of Hollywood's in Eternals.
Doctor Strange had like the best acting cast like ever at that point. So,
oh yeah. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch was that like. He was still ascending at that point, and he was still pretty high up on everybody's list. Like, regular layman Americans knew who Benedict Cumberbatch was. Like, that's fucking insane. Like, with a name like that, how is that possible?
So I'm excited about Mahershala Ali as Blade. I hope they don't keep the name that they were that was saying they were going to go around with, the Blade the Vampire Slayer. Like, just because it's a little too close to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. It's just on the nose too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blade. Fucking up vampire. There we go. You're welcome. I will expect my check in the mail. So Garrett in chat here is I'm a little confused. So help me through this one. He said Billy Crystal as Bishop, but in his Princess Bride costume.
Bishop, like
Billy
from the
Crystal?
X-Men?
Yeah, and my next thought is Billy Crystal was in Princess Bride?
Yeah, no, that was what I was thinking.
He was he was Miracle Max.
Oh, duh.
Wait, what?
Miracle Max?
He was Miracle Max. To blave.
Which means
Okay.
to bluff. You guys were playing poker and he lost to him and he bluffed.
Yeah. There we go.
Crystal?
That's Billy Crystal,
is-
yes.
What?
Have fun storming the castle.
What the fuck? Okay, so now he said, I'm sorry, Whistler. He didn't mean Bishop. He meant Whistler. That makes more sense to me. So you want Billy Crystal as Miracle Max to be Whistler. I'm here for a lot of things, but I don't know if that's one of them.
I mean, I feel like Chris Christopherson could come back and do it anyways, but
I really feel like he could.
I will not settle for anything less than Sam Elliott and his mustache.
Ooh, that's pretty fucking good.
All right, now hear me out. If we're going Sam Elliott, sure, he's Whistler, but then that means we have to bring him back to be Whistler as Ghost Rider.
I mean, in Ghost Rider, he was the Phantom Rider. He was the like original Ghost Rider from or one of the original Ghost Riders from the Old West. But I get what you're saying.
So he has to, yeah.
In the Nick Cage second Nick Cage movie, I think. No, the first one.
Because he was the mentor in the first one.
Yeah.
And he was the Phantom Rider. So, I mean, if we had Sam Elliott show up and be Whistler, but little do we know, Whistler's just like, vampires suck, because he's been the Phantom Rider this whole time, and we just didn't know. Like,
and then
I'm here for it.
He's just Mephisto the whole time too.
Oh, there it is.
God.
There it is.
So that's what I was gonna ask though. It's like which part of the MCU are we gonna connect this to? Probably the Doctor Strange part, right?
For Ghost Rider or for Blade?
Blade.
I'm sure Blade, Moon Knight are gonna probably be together, and maybe it could either be Externals or it could be Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like how vampires would logically fit with what we have already.
I mean,
and if Doctor Strange pulled Thor into the Sanctum to be like, all right, let's level because I know you're very powerful, does that mean he's also had this same conversation with like Blade and like our other like street level like vigilantes of like, look, don't cause too much of a ruckus, please?
I don't think so. Not with the street level people, because and like Blade doesn't have any magical powers. Like, yeah, he has like genetic powers because he's half vampire or daywalker or whatever you want to call him. But like, he literally pulls in Thor and Loki to be like, I have to keep track of whenever like people of certain power sets like show up, or celestial beings and stuff like that. So that's what I'm guessing.
Okay, that I'll allow that.
But yeah, vampires could easily show up in the next Doctor Strange movie because Sam Raimi said it's going to be like a horror movie. But Externals have lived forever, so they've could have come across immortal vampires. We already heard about vampires from Mobius in the TVA.
Yeah, we did.
Episode 5, I want to say, right before he's pruned, or a little bit before he's pruned, he was like, it could be, or it could be Titans, it could be vampires, it could be whatever. Like, there's always going to be something.
Okay. I think I remember this now.
Speaking of,
I think that's our jump off point right there.
That's right. We're getting a second season of Loki, as we saw at the end of the 6th episode of Loki. We had our in-credit scene was, or our after-credit scene was some bureaucracy paperwork being stamped with the Loki will return for season 2. This is the first Disney Plus MCU TV series to get a second season that we know of.
I enjoy how honest Marvel has been throughout the entirety of the MCU, of just showing up at the end, being like, yeah, they'll come back.
This is where you can see them the next time.
Yeah, will return. Cool, thanks, man. You could have just put out a poster that would let me know. But like, this works too.
It's very comic booky, right? Like at the end of your comic book, it's like, follow the story in Avengers number 47 coming out next week.
Don't make me buy another comic. Like, I hate it because I read a lot of like Batman, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, you want to keep on reading? You gotta pick up JLA. I don't read JLA.
Well, you also have to pick up Batwoman, and then
I don't read that. I'm sorry. So it looks like I'm missing chunks of story, and I'm gonna be real confused, and I'm just gonna Google it.
Sometimes this is what you have to do. You just have to Google it.
I'll put my foot down. They'll start listening to me someday. Mainline it. Story all the way through. You need another character to come in here. Bring them to this comic book. I'm not going over there.
They need you to buy that other book, though.
Nope.
Just prune all the other books. This is the only one.
There you go.
For me, I read like 6 books. That's it. I don't need to get super involved in anything else.
What did the two of you think of He Who Remains?
Loved it.
Did you?
I think it's a very clever way to play off of who they're bringing in next.
This is very true.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
So I don't know anything. Like obviously I've heard enough to know that Jonathan Majors is going to be Kang, and all I know is Kang by name. I don't know his story. I don't know. I know he deals with time. I know something about some city he makes called Chronopolis or something. That's it. This is just all speculation for me. So him showing up at the end as some other character that's also Kang in a way, like works for me because I this isn't disappointing me in any way because I don't know any other stuff to base it off of.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what He Who Remains tells us with his little moving guy toy thingy, that's the story. Like it's you got your council of Kangs, and eventually Kang was the one that wins out and tries to go through and conquer time, where other versions of himself throughout his timeline try and stop him.
So Garrett wants to know: do you think Kang will be Reed Richards' ancestor as well?
I mean, it's a possibility.
Nathaniel, right?
So, huh?
His name is Nathaniel, right?
Yeah, Nathaniel Richards. Yeah, that at one point I think they have him be Reed Richards' father, maybe even further down. But I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think that they'll do that. But who knows? It's in there.
Garrett thinks it's a good place to start the Fantastic Four movies.
Well, He Who Remains says that he was born in the 30th century, so it would be well past modern MCU.
But he's a time traveler.
Right, but he's saying like his original like birth point, like his genesis point, is in the 30th century.
I'm saying he could have traveled back in time to have Reed Richards.
He could have come back in time and been like, "Hey, lady, we're gonna have a kid." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Too late." And
kind of like
he's a
Ego in a
monster.
way.
Yeah,
Like how Ego just kind of showed up and has kids with people.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, with this being the confirmation of Kang, because we're not getting a Mephisto moment out of this, like they have to do Kang now in some way, shape, or form. This gives us access to Iron Lad, which means Young Avengers confirmed.
There it is, Young Avengers.
You can mark off your bingo sheet now, everybody. I said it. Now we got to get Mitch to say something about the Thunderbolts today.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
So, when He Who Remains first makes his offer through Miss Minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then later in the story says he takes his like newfound power and then like domesticates Eliath and then hides behind Eliath. Is that power just his like time traveling equation thing that he figures out, or do you think Miss Minutes is tied to that somehow?
I think Miss Minutes is just another invention that he made.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think she exists in the same sense that he does?
Eliath or He Who Remains?
Who Remains. Because she's the only entity other than him, presumably, that can travel back and forth between the Citadel and anywhere else.
It's true. I didn't think about that. I think it's just a program that he projects through time to any place that he needs it to go. Or now that it's quote unquote sentient, it can jump between the two.
But does that mean there's multiple Miss Minutes?
In the sense that it's a program that it can be everywhere at once?
I'll allow it.
Well, all time is happening simultaneously.
Correct.
So, of course she can be anywhere at once. She is everywhere at once.
The amount of conversations that this show has made me have at work about like, man, time travel is so confusing. Is it though?
If it's done poorly.
This time travel isn't confusing. This time travel was done very well.
It still has room for it to get confusing if you want it to be, though.
I like the way that they did this, where like we have one point that is fixed in all of time and space. That is the TVA. So no matter what, you can always come back to the TVA and be removed from everything. So you're just kind of like watching time happen. Anything that will happen has already, and you have access to it. So you're not worrying about anything. And they built in like whatever it's called, like anti-recursion.
Yeah, they still haven't explained that, which they didn't have to, obviously. But I don't know. Like, I feel like the way that it played out, the show is suggesting pretty heavily that he who remains is always going to die there. So if that's always the end point, and then multiverse, and then also with the rings with Mobius when he's talking to Renslayer, I feel like we're just in a cycle where the multiverse goes to war, consolidates, he who remains dies, goes to war, consolidates, he who remains dies, and we're just on like the fourth rotation.
Probably.
I mean, that's definitely the way that he portrays it to say, because he knows that what's going to happen, but it's the only reason he knows what's going to happen is because he already lived through it once.
Well, and then also the only other time, like his description of this is the threshold, I don't know what happens here. The only other time we've had like a moment like that was with the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, and then she even says, "I know that I'm going to die here because I can't see past this point."
True. But that's because she's absorbed the time stone. Like, she'd messed with it already. I don't know if it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, obviously, the Infinity Stone manipulates time through some type of celestial magic, quote unquote magic, whereas He Who Remains has traveled through time using science, or at least that's how he portrays it.
You don't think there's some sort of like non-scientific element to him as like an individual now bound to time?
I don't think so. I think that the way that I mean, it's a possibility, but I think that just the way that he described the story, whether or not that's a true story or not, he's the unreliable narrator. The way that he describes the story is that it's him and then the other versions of himself all working together to create better science.
So now I'm going to go ahead and make a bold statement that's going to predict the future of everything here. Ready? It is science until it's magic.
Well, it's
where
it's only magic.
He's going to be... He's going to figure it out, and he's going to go too far or in a weird direction, and next thing you know, he's like, oh shit, I found Dormammu. And he's like, yo, I don't like that at all. And he's like, bet. And now he's got the weird mark that everybody had in Doctor Strange. That's why he's the one who wins out. He's Majin, the one who remains, man. Like, he's got all the power.
Wait, like Caecilius? Like the eye makeup stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So he's gone and met Dormammu, and Dormammu's like, yo, so time's fucking weird, right? And he's like, this is crazy. So with your science and my matter, with my science and your magic, can we fix this? And Dormammu's like, yes. But like maniacally, right? Because he's a bad guy.
Interesting. I don't think Dormammu would work with Kang, so I feel like it would be Kang conquering Dormammu, right?
I think it's a bad deal that was made. Kang is a warlock, and he doesn't know how to make deals.
On brand.
I mean, that's fair. It'd be another person who manipulating time, walking in and being like, I'm here to bargain, but he just didn't make a good bargain.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm here to bargain. And he's like, I've done this once before. Shut up.
Okay. So, I mean, the death of He Who Remains, by his own word, is a bad thing because it's going to unleash the other variants of himself upon this world. How do you feel like this is going to affect the MCU going forward?
So this is where your understanding of the time travel and the timeline branches and universes can be hard if you don't get it, because I feel like I don't get it. So when they show at the beginning, they pull out and they use like sounds from our MCU to like signify maybe we're like, this is our timeline that we know. And then they go in and then it's Sylvie's voice and then it's a bunch of women talking before you get to the Citadel to like kind of suggest that maybe each black hole was a different universe, where our Loki and then hers. And then he shows on his little diagram for each Kang what looks like a little black hole with like a Saturn ring around it.
Mhm.
Kind of similar to that visual. Like each universe is its own black hole thing in this visual diagram. So the branching, could that be like he's isolated his ring and then the branching prevents it from connecting up or down or side to side to the other rings?
Definitely.
Because that's what I am perceiving it to be. I don't know if that's 100% right though.
I don't think any of us know if it's 100% right, but I would say that that's definitely what we were being shown.
Okay.
So yeah, as each nexus point connects itself to yet a different timeline, this is where those different visuals of a black hole would show up. Thus,
And
a tear.
I think that's the whole point of the like critical point of Nexus events, where it's branching and branching and branching. And at that point, if it crosses this threshold, we're in real dangerous territory of touching another universe and linking beyond being able to not like to cut the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're all on the same page about this.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel good.
Yeah,
I feel good about this.
But I also think another thing that's going to be, or I don't know, could be a bad thing, as He Who Remains described, as they tore into the timeline so many times, it created Eliath to come and destroy variants or different parts of the timeline. So if we are having a no more sacred timeline, like where things are splitting off, does that mean we're going to get more Elias?
Ooh.
Yes, I would think each universe has an Eliath of some sorts. If like, because why couldn't Eliath have a variant as well?
I mean, this is true, but is it Elias? Is Eliath the original? Like, hey, there's too many timelines. I need to prune this back. Like, is that the original time, like guard dog, so to speak, that the timeline itself created? Whereas Kang, or He Who Remains, like took it upon himself to start pruning timelines. Basically, is it the universe like creating its own order by creating Eliath?
I think so.
It's the natural end that He Who Remains like basically repurposed for his own uses. Is what
Right.
you're
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
He found Eliath at the end, and then decided to stay at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that makes sense to me too. I would say that's probably what happened.
Okay.
So to clarify for chat here, because Garrett just asked, so it's like a multiverse of madness then, right?
Something like that.
That's kind of nice. Got a nice ring to it. Hopefully they use that.
Right. Sure beats Quantum Mania.
Oh, that's a good title.
Oh man.
For a Saturday morning cartoon.
Do you think Sam Raimi came up with the multiverse of madness, or do you think Kevin Feige did?
Feige. That sounds like a Feige thing where he's like, multiverse of madness. And they're like, I don't know. He's like, we're using it. We're running it. Print it. He had a J. Jonah Jameson moment.
I feel like I feel like Raimi had a hand in it for sure. It has a horror element, but also it's kind of campy too. And that just feels like Raimi.
Oh, that's definitely Raimi. That's definitely Raimi. All right. Well, any other thoughts on the episode? I know we didn't deep dive too much into it, but like the ramifications of just killing He Who Remains and knowing that He Who Remains exists are enough to fill any episode. So,
Yeah.
Do we think there is only one TVA and He Who Remains dying just reset them? Or, because back to the ring thing, right? This could be like the third or fourth time it's happened, and Mobius doesn't remember those rings, so it could be each time he dies, they reset. Or, there's a TVA for every universe.
I think that our Loki got dumped out into a different universe because the statue was different. The statue is a statue of Kang.
mm-hmm.
So he gets dumped out, and this Mobius is like, who are you? Hello? What?
It doesn't even know who Loki is, period, right?
Yeah, so
Well,
that
at
means
least not
those
Tom Hiddleston's
events-
version of Loki.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Well, doesn't Loki say his name? He's like, I'm Loki, like, and then he's like, who?
I don't think he did. Did he say his name?
No, I could be misremembering.
I don't
Sure.
remember.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
He walks up. He's like, "Hey, yo, Mobius, it's me, Loki, baby." Like that's how that conversation went.
Okay, you definitely watched a different episode than I did then.
It was a spot on impression, by the way.
Yeah, he probably doesn't say his name, but for sure doesn't recognize him. So that's
Right. He doesn't recognize him. Okay, then let's get into Spider-Man 2 since I know Malfoy has a lot to say about this episode, this movie.
I fucking love this movie. It's so good. It's one of my. It's still the best. I really went back and forth on it for Infinity War when it came out, but I still think it holds up as just like a complete, awesome, also superhero movie.
I mean, it takes the trope, right, of superhero having to lose superpowers to realize that being a superhero is not a burden, or it is a necessary means kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a burden for sure. And I think this movie does a great job of just having Spider-Man be the worst thing for Peter Parker throughout his life. Every stage of the start of this movie is just showing him losing because he's being Spider-Man. So Peter has to suffer for it. And then him still choosing every step of the way to like, I have to do this. Like, this is my obligation. That's why it's the best for me. That's what being a hero is.
Because that's what heroes do.
Like, obviously set pieces and having like the cool lasers and like kicking the shit out of Thanos, like that's fun. That's also what being a superhero movie has to be too, because if you don't have the cool action set pieces, like that's the genre. Like, what are you doing? And there's plenty of that in this, like the iconic train scene we'll talk about in a few. But at the core of it, it's the person choosing to be the hero that I think is the most important part about superheroes. And if you don't touch on that at least a little bit, it's just an action movie.
I love the this is like after the success of the first one, they let Sam Raimi kind of like a little bit more off the leash, so to speak. I mean, you get this great body horror movie in the middle of the whole thing. Of Doc Ock or Dr. Octavius now being grafted to the tentacles that he used as a tool. You even get a homage to Evil Dead, like right in the middle of the surgery scene with the chainsaw and just the way
Bruce
that
Campbell's
he films
even in it.
Well, Bruce Campbell's in all three of them, so
Yeah. But yeah, no, when the claw and then comes at the camera, that scene is so awesome. Every time you watch it, I'm just like, oh fuck. And then they just show his face, like he's just completely unconscious, like his body's just there. Yeah, love it.
Two of my favorite moments in this movie. Well, three of my favorite moments in this movie. Two of them involve Doc Ock.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and they are the moments where he's like, "What? Aren't you worried about the AI taking over your body?" Inhibitor chip. Like, that's just funny to me that you thought ahead to be like, "Well, the AI might fight me for control of my body. Let me build a thing that sits conveniently at the base of my at the nape of my neck. That'll prevent it." And then later on, when he's like, "Why am I going crazy? Ha! Inhibitor chip." And that's when he realizes that the inhibitor's gone. And it's like, you didn't think about that? You just got electrocuted, and you're not like, I should check on that.
He kind of was abducted. That same scene, it's supposed to show that it's switched. So he's not the pilot. He's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
So you get those moments of clarity, just like Green Goblin in the first movie, where you get to see Otto doesn't want to be involved, but it's the arms making him do what he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. The other best, my favorite moment in the movie actually happens right at the very beginning when Peter's delivering pizzas. And it's the guy just like, "Yo, Spider-Man stole that dude's pizzas."
Such a great opening, too.
Just because it's like, you saw this guy run in. And now Spider-Man's swinging. You're not going to go check out the alley to be like, "Oh, dang, Spider-Man just showed up. What happened?" No, first thought is, Spider-Man's a scumbag and stole that dude's pizzas.
Well, I mean, This is the Marvel universe where, J. Jonah Jameson's newspapers say that Spider-Man's a menace. So the fact that he doesn't go check on the pizza delivery guy and be like, to see if he's, beat up or something is another story.
Well, is I figure that's just living in New York. Just
That's
like
true.
that dude stole that shit. Whatever.
Yeah, it's like MJ's mom or dad in the first movie where she's like, "I need to go to school," and he's like, "Yeah, who's stopping you?" Like, what? Why? Who says that? Like, why would that be a response to that?
And that's the like one of the first quote unquote cameos right there. You have a by that guy, then you have Emily Deschanel as the receptionist, and then you have Asif Mandi as the guy who owns the pizza parlor. Like,
Yeah.
they might not be cameos because these aren't big stars yet, but like they're definitely recognizable faces at this point.
Yeah.
It's the Leonardo DiCaprio meme for sure.
Yes.
The whole time just
Pointing at the TV, just like, I know that
Yeah.
person now.
that was actually what my sister-in-law did when Emily Deschanel showed up. She's like, "Is that Bones?
That's Bones.
That totally is." I'm not paying for that.
Cool.
Yeah, but the train scene. I mean, I know we're skipping around, but like the train scene is so iconic, and even to the point when they do a very similar scene in the Tom Holland like Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, I almost was upset when they did it in Homecoming, just because I was like, come on, they did it great in Spider-Man 2. Why would you try and do something similar? And now with the boat splitting in half.
You don't like Homecoming as it is.
It's true.
So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt.
I think it's a fair criticism, but it's gotten to a point to where like nobody's gonna top the train scene from Spider-Man 2. So like just paying an homage is like, I don't get angry because I'm like, they were never gonna do better. We all knew they were never gonna do better. They just wanted to be like, hey, remember that cool movie? Yeah. So I'm cool with it. Also, I liked Homecoming. So
what was it? I just love that it's a bunch of like scared to death now angry New Yorkers that scare Doc Ock off of killing Peter there. It's just like, all right, you want Spider-Man, you're gonna have to fight this entire city blocks worth of people here, and we're pissed because you just ruined our whole commute there, pal. Come on.
I'm a bit late to work now.
I want to be late for work, and there ain't no way that my boss is gonna believe that Spider-Man and some dude with metal arms coming out of his back fucked the train up. So, are you gonna come down to work and be like, "Yeah, I made this guy late, sorry," or am I gonna have to take you? Am I gonna have to take your hat? I'm gonna take your hat.
I like how he's just like, oh, you wanna stop me from doing this? Fine. Now everyone dies. Trash the train and hops out.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of like, wow, we totally could just let him kill Spider-Man, and then we all would have been fine. And we could have got off at the next stop. Wow, you shouldn't have said anything, man. What the fuck?
Well, also you have I mean, I get it. This is a New York banding together with another New Yorker. Like we're all great, and it's a great town right now. But like, come on, this is 2004. People have camera phones at this point. You're going to tell me that not one person's going to snap a picture of this guy Spider-Man not wearing a mask,
Right. And also, hello, when they're like, it's okay, we won't tell anyone. Who are you going to tell? It's New York. You don't know this guy. You'd be like, oh, it's some dude with brown hair. It's New York, bro.
Like being a kid at school, it's like, I've seen Spider-Man. Oh yeah, you've seen him? What's he look like? He's got brown hair. He's white. Yeah. He's got brown hair and he was white. Really? You've seen Spider-Man? Get out of here. Shut the fuck up.
Did you see that movie with the racehorse about the biscuits? He looks like that guy.
Spider-Man doesn't look like that wimp. No way.
Flash Thompson's here, folks.
Right. Spider-Man's way cooler than that guy. Oh man.
I love the scene between Doc Ock and Peter, and specifically when Peter first meets him, and they're just nerding out over science, but then Doc's like, "Look, science is great, but love is even better. Like, do you have somebody?" And he's like, I mean, yes, I don't know, kinda. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? Do I need to ask somebody else? How do you not know? Do I ask her? Like that exchange between them, and then his wife also coming in and being like, you need to stop, teasing him. Like it's just a great exchange. It's a great flow of dialogue that I've always enjoyed.
I always love that dynamic of relationship between Peter and Otto, where it's very much so Otto is this brilliant mind that sees the world for Peter. And all he wants to do is just like, I can teach you, I can show you, but most of all, like, I just want to be there to make sure that you grow up to be like a good human being. Not a great scientist, just a good person. Right? I don't know why I like that dynamic so much for Peter, but it's just good.
Because it also shows like what Peter could grow up to be if not for Spider-Man. Like if he got the woman that he loved, if he followed his heart through science, like he could be Dr. Octavius. Like it's very much what his future could be.
Yeah, and I think this movie more so than the first one is about choices with the gifts that you're given, whereas the first one is like coping with the gifts that are thrust upon you. Where, because Peter didn't ask to be Spider-Man, but then he was given the spider bite. Same with Green Goblin, didn't expect to be Green Goblin. This one, Otto's choices and his ego and ignoring the math, not getting his calculations right, and thinking he can still achieve what he was going for. Ultimately, it's an obvious Icarus parallel, right? He even says flew too close to the sun in the movie. And then you see what Peter's doing with Spider-Man, where he's just working himself thin, literally at the expense of who he is as a person. Peter's failing at everything. He's losing his job. He can't pay rent. He doesn't go to class. So you get to see that dynamic of like, choose love, choose the people you care about, because they'll save you. And then as soon as Otto loses his wife, like his rock, because of his choices, he becomes the monster.
Well done.
I've seen this movie a couple times, and I kind of like it.
Just kind of,
Wow.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. No, well played. Well done. I think. All right. See you guys next week. I don't have anything else to say.
We haven't talked about Aunt May yet.
Okay, what do you have on Aunt May?
What do you have on Aunt May?
Wait. Oh, I was only half joking.
Oh.
So the scene where he eventually tells Aunt May about how Uncle Ben died and how he's partly responsible, like he could have chosen to intervene and maybe Uncle Ben doesn't die if he stops that robber. And then later when he shows up and she's moving because she can't afford her house anymore, and the next door neighbor kid is like helping him move, and she's basically explaining like, we want to see Spider-Man around, like playing coy as it like saying like, I know you're Spider-Man, like what are you doing, like why aren't you out and about, like people need you, there's like a purpose to you being around in the neighborhood. But then also for her to give that speech knowing that Peter chose not to be Spider-Man the last time and Uncle Ben died.
Mm-hmm.
And the weight of that, of his aunt saying like, hey, last time you did this, we lost somebody we cared about. Like, where are you?
So maybe it's time to put the mask back on.
Yeah. It's just his relationship with, mainly Aunt May and MJ in this, because I think ultimately this movie is about Peter needing MJ. And when he gets that, resolution at the end of the movie, it's supposed to be like, okay, I can be Spider-Man now. But I think his relationship with the three people in his life, the only three people in his life, are the core of why I love this movie so much. Because all three of these movies, for Harry, moving on to the next person, is just him never having a chance, but trying to escape from what everyone wants him to be and still not succeeding. And the scene where they're at the engagement party and Harry is like slapping Peter in the face and just like, he killed my dad. Like, why are you choosing his side? Like, I thought we were friends. Like, what the like literally took my whole life from me, and you still choose not to tell me who he is. It's just like, of course this guy's gonna end up making terrible decisions. Like, he has no support system whatsoever.
It's true.
Yeah.
And he's just trapped in his own little kingdom, his empire that's been thrown he's been thrown into.
Yeah, and that hatred is the only reason Doc Ock actually gets involved with Spider-Man, because his own motives have nothing to do with Spider-Man, which is another success of this movie, by the way. I love when the villain nothing to do. Like, his goal is not kill the hero. Like, I hate that shit. So Harry's hatred is the only reason MJ is put at risk to get Peter's attention, so Doc Ock can do what he wants to do. And I think that's fucking awesome.
But it was also Doc Ock is like it's Spider-Man's fault that the first experiment didn't go right. Like, the reason his wife is dead is because Spider-Man intervened.
Sure, but if he was given the tritium without having to go get Spider-Man, he wouldn't have.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Like, Spider-Man could have totally been out of the equation. He just, I mean, obviously he didn't like the guy, and that would have been a driving factor. Like, sure, whatever, I'll go kill the guy for you. But ultimately, if Harry was like, sure, knock yourself out, he would have been like, yeah.
I mean, couldn't he have just taken the trinium from Harry at that point? Like, does he really need to go kill Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So my question here is, with at the beginning of the movie, they said there's only 25 pounds of tritium on the planet. Does that mean that Oscorp had all 25 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oscorp is huge.
Well, yeah, but, like, you'd think that with a resource that rare, like, national governments would be involved.
Well, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but a lot of times those private companies will, they'll spend the more money and get to things before a government will, and thus own it.
Fair, but
they got some tritium lobbyists. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm just... something doesn't seem right.
Also, if say the U.S. government did have it, like, they might be loaning it out to Oscorp so that they can find a way to replicate it or something.
There's only 25 pounds.
That's
not a lot.
Okay, question 1. Is tritium a real element?
No.
And 2, no, I didn't think so. Cool. Does it show up anywhere else in the MCU? Like, it's not like vibranium, right?
No. It's something they made just for this movie.
Okay, cool. Because that was my first thought. I was like, why not make it vibranium? Like, why not? Just for shits and gigs. It's an MCU specific thing. It's an MCU property. Or a Marvel. It wasn't MCU at the time, but, like, it's a Marvel thing.
Yeah, I think because it's Sony and they didn't have the rights to vibranium or adamantium at the time, they couldn't really use it.
Oh, yeah.
That would make sense.
Great point.
That would make sense.
So, it was... Yeah, we didn't get to talk too much about Harry, but, like, him and the surprise Willem Dafoe cameo, like, as Harry goes further into his own psychosis, was a great surprise.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because this was still at the point to where, like, I mean, maybe they had announced. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention at the time, but, like, the idea of them just setting up the next movie so blatantly, like, that's awesome. Like, it wasn't like these planned trilogies and shit like we have now, where it's like, obviously they're going to have teasers for something else because we know there's something else. So them, like, setting that up of, like, oh crap, is he going to be a goblin now? Like, those moments are awesome.
This trilogy shut down what I've wanted from a Spider-Man movie forever in the first Spider-Man, and then tried to make up for it in this one for what they're going to do in the third. And that is, I just want the goblins to pull heists together. That's all that I want out of the goblins.
Wait, so Spider-Man 3 is your favorite one then? Because Harry tries to steal the ring.
No, but I want Willem Dafoe's character to be alive also, and I want them to do it together.
Oh, okay. So if Willem Dafoe was there, then the ring theft would have been A+ all the way around.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You have father and son that are just falling deeper and deeper into this ridiculous psychosis of theirs, and they're just like, I don't know what to do about it. You want to put on cool space age suits that we built and, like, fly around on cool gliders and throw bombs at people? It's like, hell yeah, high five. And then they go and do that. Like, what else do you need from them as bad guys?
Hey, Dad, I need you to help me prevent my best friend from getting married real quick. It's only going to take 5 minutes. There's 2 of us.
Yeah. And he's like, yes. Remember what I did to those board members with the bomb that just disintegrated them? Let's do that. And then they high five, and he goes, I love you, son. And Harry's like, I love you, Dad. And then they go off and do the thing, but they're still not quite right.
You couldn't have them say I love you, because then that would be the end of the movie. Thus, they would already.
It would be.
They got
No, and then it would just be an hour and a half of Mary Jane having a great life because Peter's no longer in it.
Right.
Ouch.
Because
All of the troubles that come with Peter are gone, and she just has a great life.
Yeah, she gets to feel like she gets to grieve and to mourn Peter, and all of those emotions and thoughts of what could have been are now dead with Peter. And she gets to go pursue her dreams of being an actress and being a model and just being everything that her dad said she never would be. And life is better for MJ now.
And then
there we go.
she
I fixed your
might-
character.
You might end up with Harry again as like a sort of like coping mechanism, and then he's wealthy, so then she could be an actress, and he can just support.
No. We need to leave. She needs to leave Harry in that toxic relationship
No, it's a
behind.
terrible decision.
She
Yeah,
needs-
no, we don't.
Stay
It's
with
all
John. Stay with John Jameson. He's an astronaut.
Yeah.
He's the first person to throw a football on the moon. Like,
Right. These are things.
The biggest tragedy of this movie. That guy deserved everything. What a great dude. They did nothing but explain how great this guy is, only to get fucked over in the final moments.
so
Brutal.
for those who
I
don't know,
have to,
go ahead.
I have to address chat here for 1 second. Andy, welcome in. Tom Cruise should have played Sandman, but that's in the next movie. We got Doc Ock in this one, my guy. Oh, you fixed. Okay, you caught up. Never mind. Doc Ock.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise could have been Doc Ock. 100% agree with you. And James Franco does have the best. Was the greatest goblin with that sick snowboard glider. There we go. We're caught up on chat. So,
For those who don't know, John Jameson is also a hero in the comic books by the name of Man Wolf. He turns into a werewolf.
Whoa.
Yep.
sick. See, then.
And that's actually hinted at in the movie when he jumps from the pier to the boat in like a single leap. Like it's supposed to be like a nod to the fact that he's already got the whatever going through him.
And this movie specifically is full of that.
Because
Full.
I mean, Peter's professor that introduced him to Octavius is
It's the lizard.
the lizard, but now I can't remember what his name is.
Kurt Connors.
Kurt Connors, thank you, Dr. Connors. So you have that, and there is an Easter egg of Thomas Jane as Punisher in this movie. So the scene when after Mary Jane runs away from the altar as she's running through, which I assume is supposed to be Central Park, she runs past a guy that is dressed in all black that then spins around, and you can see it's Thomas Jane in basically in a Punisher outfit without the skull.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I didn't notice that.
Yep.
There was another one that I saw, but
I have to see this. Fuck. What were we talking about before that? Sorry, my brain just.
More characters that they allude to in this movie.
Oh yes, MJ's fiance that she leaves for.
Oh yes.
Terrible. That's just. I love Peter, and I love that this movie shows how good of a person he is, and their relationship is so strong, and how they need each other. But just on paper, her leaving Jameson for Peter is just so dumb. It's just so dumb. Like, I'm just looking at it like, this is the worst. This is the worst choice, actually. Like,
Yeah.
all this success that you could have with him, all this safety, security, everything. Like, never have to worry about any financial decision ever. And you're just like, oh man.
But that's not
Peter's-
what her heart
we
wants.
we kissed upside down once, and it was awesome. I just can't go back on that.
And the fact that she
you
keeps
totally
trying to
could.
recreate the upside down kiss too is just so sad.
He's into it too. He's like, whoa, that was cool. And she's just like not about it at all. Like, this poor guy.
see, now, because Andy brought up Tom Cruise,
Oh no. That was the first season.
No. I'm not going to ask who Tom Cruise should have been in this movie because it's so clear that Tom Cruise should have been John Jameson.
That's not a bad pull. I mean, he would have been way too old for Kirsten Dunst, Mary Jane, but okay.
I was gonna say, just have Tom Cruise do the Hal Sparks cameo in the elevator with all the pitches while he can't use his webs.
It would have been good.
Yep.
Hal Sparks, what a moment in time that guy was.
No kidding. Like, you never hear about that guy anymore.
Man, he was Zoltan in Dude, Where's My Car?
Yep.
That's a movie that couldn't be made today. Definitely could not.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Toy set. What's the toy set that we want?
Oh, that doesn't exist already?
That doesn't exist
Yeah.
already.
So this one is a multi-piece set, right? Like you have to collect all the pieces, but it was marketed specifically towards model train collectors, and it's the train scene.
So it's like a full-on replica model to every...
Yes. Yes. 100%. So that way, like you have your big countryside train set that everybody has if they collect trains, and then maybe that train kind of goes into the city a little bit, but then you have your subway system. That's for the hardcore collectors. And this one comes complete with Spider-Man damage and little tiny Spider-Man surrounded by a bunch of New Yorkers that are never going to remember who he is under the mask.
So
Malfoy?
I'm trying to think how dark I want to get with this joke, because I had a really funny one, but then also I don't know. So anyway, I'm just going to go for it. So it's going to be a Lego set. Actually, no. Yeah, no, we'll go Lego set, where it's Peter talking to Aunt May in the kitchen, and then it has an audio track that plays underneath it of Peter just apologizing for Uncle Ben's death.
Can we get like a background of Uncle Ben as giving his like death statement?
Oh, yeah.
But it has to be Lego Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Well, it has like this weird like bubble that sits off like this 3D component where you just have a Lego of Uncle Ben chilling like up in the clouds. So when his turn comes around, it lights up, and then the audio lets you know he's the one talking.
Oh my god, I'd be about it. I would. That's funny. Mitch, what's your toy?
My toy would be the bank robbing scene, the bank heist scene, but it comes with a full-on like Joel McHale action figure, just so that he can sit there and cower and make fun of Peter, like just because I like Joel McHale.
I want to take a quick step back in the show real quick. Why was that bank full of like nothing but gold coins?
Because it was Scrooge McDuck's bank. I don't know.
Right. There was no dollar bills. It was just like big canvas sacks of gold coins.
Because that's Sam Raimi. That's the cheesy likeness that Sam Raimi. Because of course, wouldn't there just be burlap sacks of gold coins? I'm surprised there wasn't dollar signs on the sacks.
There should have been at that rate. Just like yes, money.
Just so you know, there's money in here.
Right. How much money? A vague amount of money that a bank should have.
I feel like if they did that bank robbing scene in the first movie, it would have had dollar signs on those bags.
It probably would have. You're probably
First
right.
movie is very like over the top, saturated, like simple design stuff. It would have been awesome.
It should have.
Yeah. They wouldn't have got Joel McHale for the first one, so I'm glad they waited.
Didn't Hal Sparks also do like a version of the soup at one point?
He was on either VH1 or MTV for a while.
I was gonna say
By a while, I mean his little 4-year period of fame.
So we know that Dr. Octopus and Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus is going to be showing up in the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Far From Home. It's still up in the air. I'm sorry, No Way Home. Sorry. It's still up in the air that whether or not Tobey Maguire is going to be in there. Any other things that you want to see from this movie show up in the next movie or the next MCU?
Both goblins pulling a heist. But give us a universe where they're actually goblins. And I want these two nasty little goblins on gliders to be just like,
So
like stealing stuff and throwing bombs. I'm here for it.
is it voiced by Willem Dafoe and James Franco?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If it's not, I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, I mean, we don't enjoy James Franco anymore, though. So
No, but fair. Get his brother to do it.
there you go. Get Dave. Get Dave in there.
Dave hasn't been in a Marvel movie yet.
Nope.
No, neither is his wife Alison Brie.
Nope.
Boo.
Dave Franco is going to be Iron Lad.
I mean, he still looks young. This is correct, but he's not young. I don't know.
He's not young. If we were gonna do Iron Lad as Dave Franco as Iron Lad, it would have had to have been like Scrubs med school era.
Yes.
What if we? I mean, I know I gotta somehow talk about Fantastic Four every time I come on here. What if we do Dave Franco as Johnny Storm?
I mean, that's not a bad choice. I like that.
Yo,
I like that.
I'm about that. And we need, if we're getting all the Spider-Men from other universes and everything, thank you, Garrett. We need, because it's a Spider-Man episode, I have to talk about it at least once. We need a Taliana Spider-Man.
What with all of the Easter eggs that they fit in Loki? Do you think they would be above doing something like that? If
No.
they do like a scene where they show a bunch of different Spider-Men? I feel like they would do it.
We need that. Are you kidding? Even if it's just a dude with like a kind of shitty mustache drinking like a cappuccino that has just like a poorly drawn spider on his shirt. There we go. Italiano Spider-Man.
I still want the scene of like it's if Alfred Molina is in the movie as Dr. Octopus and like Tobey Maguire does show up, I want them to be them, the actors, like filming a Spider-Man movie in the No Way Home movie.
That would be cool. But what are we gonna do for Andrew Garfield though?
Oh, so like they tap into our reality when they see the actors. So it's like literally Alfred Molina and Tobey Maguire that Peter Parker is interacting with.
Yes.
Interesting. That would be really cool.
That would be really fun.
And it would be a nice bait and switch for getting those people in the movie.
Right. That's what I think would be pretty cool, but but then I think a lot of other audience people would be like, that sucks. Like I wanted to see him fight.
It'd be Mandarin 2.0.
Yeah, that's true. It would be.
I liked that. I'm a fan of that movie, but I feel like most people fucking hated it. So I could see them not wanting to do that again.
It was less than good, and I don't know. I had a problem with Iron Man 3's script in a big way. Looking at the dude who made the movie happen, he's probably the main reason. But that's neither here nor there.
So I couldn't figure out a way to I mean, this shouldn't count, but I couldn't figure out a way to get Thunderbolts into the conversation because it's Doc Ock, so he's going to be Sinister Six. He can't be a Thunderbolt.
No, but Thunderbolts were mentioned by Mitch, so go ahead and mark that off.
No, that doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Sinister
Ruling
it. Sony's still aiming for that?
I think they are. I think Sony is still looking to do a Sinister Six movie, and essentially that's what they're trying to do over there. They're making a bunch of movies about the villains, the villain characters, right? Because Spider-Man is kind of tied up in the MCU proper.
So what even they're sorry, go ahead.
Who even's gonna be our Sinister Six? Because like they've set Venom up to not be a bad guy. We're gonna have it's gonna be Sinister Six, and then Venom's gonna fight the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
I'm out. Nope.
I like how we just both figured that out right now. We're just like, oh no, that's what that is. Because I was gonna ask, what do you think they're just playing the long game? Eventually, by the time Sinister Six comes out, they can make a new deal so they can borrow Spider-Man for a movie. But if Venom's setting up to be like this kind of hero, I guess.
Yep.
Oh god. No.
So
That's garbage, and I'm upset.
we know that they're making a Kraven movie, so Kraven will probably be a part of the Sinister Six.
Which feels weird.
Haven't they casted everybody though?
Like,
Well, technically they don't have a new Doc Ock, but
yeah, they don't have a new
Vulture.
there's
That
a Vulture.
dude from Far Cry 4 or whatever that was on the ferry scene. It was the
Scorpion. Yep.
We have Rhino.
No,
If Paul Giamatti feels like coming back. Oh no, that was a different movie.
that was Andrew Garfield. So we're not talking about that Rhino because Rhino's one of my favorite characters.
Good, because Paul Giamatti has done way better in his career. They showed the suit. No, they didn't. No, they did, right? No, they didn't.
For who?
We have access to Electro.
That end credit scene for Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, no,
2
that's
is just
still-
bleeding.
Yeah,
It's
that's
floating in the middle.
Yep,
of
that's
nothingness.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
But that's not stuff we have already.
So yeah,
Okay.
I think we
Then
only have 3.
It's just 3 then, yeah.
3 at this point, but they have characters that they can tap into. So, I mean, Mysterio could still be alive.
Ooh. I think he probably will be,
He got shot.
Or did he?
but
It's all
multiverse.
illusions.
Multiverse with a Mysterio that actually has magic.
I mean, it's a possibility.
How great! So this way, he's
Mephisto.
not just some special effects artist guy. He's just like, no, I'm actually spooky.
I'm actually spooky.
or he legit knew about the multiverse. He just had no means of doing anything about that information other than making films about it.
I feel like in that one they fed Peter whatever sci-fi nonsense they thought he would eat, and it worked because it's Peter.
Yeah. Well, he was a big science nerd, so the fact that you're like throwing science out there, yeah.
He's like, it's real. He's like, yeah.
Anything else from the chat as we're about to sign out?
Magic Bollocks popped in just to say animated series did it to kind of dismiss away some of our ideas. But it's okay.
Not everybody's old enough to remember that Magic Bollocks just because he and I am.
Mm-hmm. Whatever, man. No, it looks like we're pretty set. Can we get Nick Cage to do a live action noir Spider-Man?
I mean, I'm sure they can. It's not like he's doing other things. His other movies are going straight to VOD.
I'd be down, honestly.
Yeah, he's just being Nick Cage right now. He's making weird shit.
He's literally making a movie where he's going to be playing himself.
Really?
Yep. It's like
In a weird meta way, or
because it's going to be like a big fan of his, like tries to kidnap him or something like that. I don't remember what it is.
What was there was a Bruce Campbell movie where he was of Bruce Campbell fame, and somebody hires him to come out to like this little small town under the guise of like, come out here and just be a celebrity. We'd love to meet you. And then when he shows up, they're like, cool, so you're Bruce Campbell, right? You can kill all these monsters, right? And he's like, no, I'm just a dude.
I do not know this movie.
I'm going to look into that a little bit because I remember watching it with my sister, and it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Because it's like a monster that lives in the caves outside of town, and it keeps coming in and killing people or something like that. And he's like, I don't know what to do here. And they're like, but you're Bruce Campbell. And he's like, yeah, the script usually tells me what to do.
So they essentially remade Three Amigos with Bruce Campbell?
With just Bruce Campbell. There's not 3 of them.
I mean, I'm for it. So I would like to know what the name of this movie.
If I can find it, I'll let you know.
Malfoy, where can people find you online?
If you'd like to, you can follow me on Twitter at Alex L. Lusardi. That's Lusardi. That's pretty much my only social media. So, catch me tweeting about random shit and movies.
Ian?
Hi, I'm Ian. You might have known that from listening to me talk about stuff for the last almost hour and a half. But you can find me if you're here in chat already. Hi, chat. Then you know where to find me. Twitch.tv/IanFlux. If you want to be a part of the conversation, come on by. Because we do this every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Arizona time. Right now it's Mountain Standard. Or are we always Mountain Standard and we just don't change because we're Arizona? I don't know how that works. Just Google Arizona time.
That's what I do. I just Google Arizona time. I just say Arizona time.
Yep. Arizona time, adjust accordingly for your time zone. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at Ian Flux. That's IANFLUX. And on Twitter, that's IANFLUX, the numbers 1, 2. Because I am Ian Flux 12 on Twitter because somebody else took it. And they won't give it to me, I asked.
So strange.
Yeah, bastards. But Mitch, where can people find you? And do they have a Patreon where they can ask about Muppets Avengers?
It might happen one day. Yes, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. We can talk more about Spider-Man 2 or any of the other non-MCU Marvel movies. The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website, geekelitemedia.com. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Geek Elite Media, for exclusive material that you can only get if you're one of our patrons. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us because it helps spread the word of our network. Oh,
Mitch, I almost completely forgot. I'm sorry to cut you off in the middle of that because you're so good at it, and I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
I'm a monster. The three of us are going to be playing D&D next week.
That's true.
And we haven't talked about it like at all anywhere.
I was gonna say something after Mitch was done, but you beat me to it.
Yeah. So we're gonna be playing Dungeons and Dragons. Wizards of Webcams has found a new home on the Geek Elite Media Twitch channel. So go follow over there, twitch.tv/Geek Elite Media. Turn on those notifications. There's gonna be content throughout the week, sporadically, all over the place. If you want to see my beautiful face, tune in on Thursdays because they'll be hosting Jay Bruce for the Starfinder game that we're playing over there. We run the stars. And on Fridays, Wizards of Webcams will be live at 7 o'clock Arizona time. Again, Google and adjust for a weekly D&D game that I will be running. Mitch, where are you over there? Mitch will be playing. And then Malfoy will be playing as well, plus my sister. So mark your calendars. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be the first time I've ever played online.
Yeah. It's going to be super fresh. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I had to say about it. So that's a thing. Mitch, you can go ahead and finish now. You have my permission.
But until next time, this is Journey into Mystery on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out. We can never make it happen all at the same time.
I need you to do it with more feeling, more gusto.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.